thousands of you enjoyed the NHL opening week $9 special, so it's only fair that we offer the NBA fans the same deal. Every NBA daily package for the opening week through Monday, October 25th is just $9. That's right, you will not be paying $25 for a package, nor will you be paying $35 for 5% best bets for the opening week of the NBA, as all daily basketball packages are only $9. Make sure to tune in every Monday through Friday for the NBA tip-off show on WagerTalk TV, and then save and start the NBA season with a slam dunk deal.
Happy Friday, guys. Welcome in right here to WagerTalk TV. It's time for Puck Time. I'm Andrew McInnis. We have Carmine Bianco, Kevin Dolan here with us on this Friday afternoon, or Friday morning for most of you guys out there. Friday afternoon for me right now. But guys, we got just a couple games today in the NHL. Tomorrow brings an absolute jam-packed slate as usual on Saturdays, but some decent games today to get after. Yesterday for me, it was a pretty big slate. On Thursday, I decided just to narrow down one game, Edmonton regulation, Edmonton team total. And as we all know, guys, the Coyotes are not going to be good this year. And any team with speed is going to get it done against the Coyotes. So happy to get a win last night for the clients. Moving forward into today, we got a few good games, including San Jose and Toronto. We got Boston, Buffalo, the Kings and the Stars, and of course, the game of the night, the Oilers and the Golden Knights. Oilers on that second half of their back-to-back. We're going to have promo codes. We're going to have best bets and much more coming up here on the show. I'll bring in my co-host, Mr. Carmine Bianco.
Yesterday. Fantastic pup. Named it after the Rocket Richard. So it's named Henry. I think it should have been named Sabretooth, quite frankly. But with that said, Andrew, congratulations on the new addition. It's going to keep you busy while you're doing your sports capping, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I was saying to a friend, it's going to be nice to have a little buddy to watch games with, especially the West Coast games when the girlfriend's asleep and I'm just, by myself. And everybody's saying, you're not going to have anybody to watch games with. He's going to be absolutely crazy. He's running around. He's going to bring lots of joy, Carm, but a lot less sleep, I think. So goods and bads, but I'm super excited to have him.
Yeah, when we hear the barking in the morning during the telecasts, we'll know that everything is almost under control in the McInnis household. But congratulations to you. And speaking of congratulations, a man who's on a very good run, first appearance on the show, a fantastic handicapper and profitable one last year at WagerTalk in NHL, the one and only, the Irishman, Kevin Dolan. Kevin, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, well, good, Carmine. What's happening, fellas? It's been a while since I was on this show last. But yeah, great to be back on. And, as you said, life's good right now. We came off a 2-0-1 night in hockey last night, 2 wins, 1 push. So pretty happy with that. 3-1-1 to start the season as well. So, looking forward to another big year in hockey. And we have a big weekend of action ahead. Obviously, two 5% best bets loaded. So, yeah, exciting times and good to be back on the show, as I said, and looking forward to breaking down some of these games today.
That's what I want to hear. And I will have a coupon code for you guys for Kevin, a 3-day all access, because he's got a couple 5% plays, as mentioned, one in boxing, one in NFL. And then, of course, he does the NHL, college football, and soccer cards as well, too. So literally, instead of paying $35 for one of those 5% plays, $39 will get you every single play. I'll have the coupon code up on the screen when Kevin breaks down one of the first games. Andrew, where are we going?
We're going to start right away. First game On the board for us today is going to be the Sharks and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sharks playing their third game in 4 nights. They had their little East Coast road trip here. Maple Leafs, huge favorites, minus 245. San Jose Sharks, plus 195 here. Total is at 6 right now. Starting goaltenders, we have Michael Hutchinson. He's like the third stringer for the Maple Leafs. Aiden Hill between the pipes for the San Jose Sharks. Well, Carm, it seems like a bet on spot for the Maple Leafs. It seems like a good spot to go after them. But you've continuously mentioned that they're overpriced. I've talked about how they're overpriced. Obviously, we have minus 245. Even the price in regulation, I would say, is quite expensive. And now the San Jose Sharks have proven they can win games in high-scoring fashion, putting up 5 on Montreal. They won a low-scoring game against Ottawa last night with 2-1. And now they roll into Toronto with some confidence, but obviously to face a really, really tough team here. Where are you going here, Carmi? I think obviously it's a good bet on spot for the Leafs, but even that regulation number seems kind of steep for me.
It does. I think it does. I'm always leery of overpriced teams, but they're public teams. Public teams will always get overbet, and we see it in every sport. It's everywhere. And this is one of those spots. Teams like Toronto are going to be overbet. Teams like, not overbet, but overpriced. The teams like Colorado. And once we get into mid-season of the NHL, of this NHL season, it's going to be even worse. Some of these prices, you're going to see Toronto at times at minus 250, minus 260 over teams like, let's say, like Ottawa or dare I say it, Andrew, Montreal. But you look at it, listen, they're unbeaten right now. But it's the third game in 4 nights for this Sharks team. And we'll see how they do this season with those 3 and 4s. Last year, it was not good for them. And they played predominantly on the West Coast. Obviously, they played on the West Coast with those realigned divisions. But last year, they were 2-6 in the third game of a 3-game in 4 nights. And the score lines weren't very good. 4-0 to Vegas, 2-1, 4-0, 4-0, 5-2, 5-4. A lot of crooked score lines there. Their 2 wins, I think, came over the LA Kings, but 2-6 in the in that third game of 3 games in 4 nights. It wasn't good for them last year. We'll see in their first opportunity this year how it goes. It's the goalie things for me. Hutch, he was good last year. Very small sample size. 4-2-1 last year with a 2.42 goals against average, .919 save percentage. A little better last year than he was the year before, where for the Leafs, he was pretty much that goalie that when he was in net, you would just fade him. I think they lost 13 or 14 games with backup goalies in net when it wasn't Freddie Anderson in goal for the Leafs. A little better now, and once they get back to their regular rotation of Mrazek and Campbell, Hutch will go back into that emergency spot as far as goaltending goes. I can't play the minus 2 and change, minus 235 here. The regulation, I think, has gotten away from me in the sense of I think it's probably about 30 cents higher than I would normally play. You can probably take Toronto and put them into a parlay with another team like, let's say, like possibly the Bruins, and you can get even money. And that is not regulation time lines. We're talking full game lines. If you like the Bruins, which we're going to discuss next, you can take those 2 teams and you probably get about plus 120, plus 125 on your money in a 2-team money line parlay. Kev, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, as you guys said, I actually quite like the spot for Toronto myself tonight. I do expect them to kind of bounce back here with a win, but, I'm willing to lay minus 245 or even on regulation to see that happen. No chance. So, as you mentioned, Carmine Hutchinson's stats, who's in nets tonight for the Leafs. It was hard to judge him last season, in fairness, 8 starts, but he did have a good save percentage, good GA average as well, and 5 of those 8 games he started were quality starts, but this is, effectively first big step up of the season. And in fairness to San Jose, they are a team, top 10 in goals per game this year, 3.67 on average. But, those numbers, they are a bit skewed in San Jose. I can sort of see why this line has shut up, in fairness. San Jose ranks dead last in scoring chances created inside the slot. They rank second last in the league on expected goals data as well. So, we talked about teams the last time we was on. I think you got to go back to like April, in fairness, but the last time we was on, we talked about teams like Philadelphia, where the data actually looked quite decent, but unfortunately for them, they simply couldn't get it done in actual results. So, San Jose could potentially keep this run going, against the data. But look, as of right now, if I'm playing this one, I suppose I would have to suck it up and take Toronto on regulation. Or on the puck line, but at this number, it's just got to be a pass.
Yeah, and I've been talking about that, Kevin, so far start off this season. Let's be honest, I've been getting quite a bit into the expected goals as well, and a lot of these teams that are winning the expected goal battle are still losing. We've seen a lot of teams, dominate the dangerous scoring opportunities or dominate the shots on goal and still come out with the loss. And the Sharks, again, a lot of their goals haven't really been too fancy. But I think kind of to start the season off, it might be a good thing. They're scoring a lot of dirty and greasy goals, tips in front of the net, shots off rebounds and stuff like that. And one thing about Toronto right now, I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to be looking towards the puck line in this one. Toronto hasn't had that one blow-up game yet. If you look at their game so far, 2-1 against Montreal, 3-2 loss against Ottawa, 3-1 against Ottawa the next night, and then 2-1 against New York, a loss. So they're coming off a 2-1 loss that went to overtime in a game they had plenty of opportunities, but this is not the same Maple Leafs team that, for years past, we saw them start their years off with 3 goals here, 4 goals here, 5 goals there. So I'm not necessarily lining up to grab the puck line in this game either. I actually have a lean towards the under 6 in this game, guys. I look towards, I think, Michael Hutchinson right now, he's the third string, like I mentioned. They traded for Mrazek, so Hutchinson is not even in the starting rotation if it wasn't for Mrazek being injured. Adin Hill, he played for Arizona, so it's hard to judge any goalie that played for them because they're horrific. Now he's on San Jose. I've heard great things about him. Give me the under 6 here. I think that we'll actually see a tighter game. San Jose will play them tight. And, unless this game has absolute domination by the Leafs, I feel like we'll get under the total here. Before I go back, I want to go back to Kevin with our next game. But I do want to mention, and not to go hype you up too much here, Kevin, but I do want people to know about this because I think that a lot of people that watch WagerTalk TV, they kind of are only really aware of the sports people do that they're on videos for, and I see you doing your boxing free play videos. You're on the NBA show, of course, Stoppage Time with Carm, but a lot of us do multiple sports. And I thought that I did a lot of different sports, and I've learned just through your Twitter, Kev, about how many you really do. So maybe you could just tell our audience the different sports and selections you do, because I think it's a shame that some people mainly just find our picks through watching these videos, and they might not necessarily know every sport that we handicap.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I was talking with Tony Mejia about this actually as well, another handicapper over at WagerTalk, where he covers a lot of sports as well. And, it might be actually quicker for me to tell you what sports I don't handicap. But when you talk about NHL, NBA, NFL, college football, I don't do college basketball because I would have no time in the day actually for that. But, in terms of the other sports, I'm a situational handicapper, on top of the data. So I will look at the situational spots, like we just talked about Toronto, and then I will use the data to back that up. So I don't spend a lot of time. Obviously, you couldn't spend a lot of time reviewing tape and so on. But yeah, I mean, in terms of NFL, obviously number 1 in the season this season. We do well in NHL. Number 2 last season, NBA for the last 2 seasons. So I find those situational spots, and all those spots are covered, very effective in terms of handicapping these games. And boxing, is probably the only one that I actually sit down and do the tape time for, but that's more of a personal thing where I actually enjoy watching the sport. But, I mean, it's, for all the sports that I do, I just find the data and the situational probably the best angle, because, we do cover so much in terms of overall sports action.
Definitely. Well, guys, make sure you're following Kevin on Twitter. He's always tweeting out when he has packages up and all that good stuff. So our next game on the board, let's dive into a team that has yet to lose here, Kevin. The Buffalo Sabres at home visiting Boston Bruins. They're leaving the TD Gardens here to go to Buffalo. Not too far of a road trip here. They're minus 220 here on the road. Buffalo, like I said, plus 180. The funny thing is the plus 1.5 line, which I never really look at, is minus 145 for them to keep it within 1 goal. Total sits at 5.5 here. And Boston, they're off a game I don't think they're going to be proud of. So talk about being a situational handicapper. I think it's a decent situational bounce back spot here for a Bruins team that I came on this show, Kevin, and hyped up to be a great defensive team, a team that takes care of the puck. And in that game alone, they did pretty much the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, and I mean, who's seen Buffalo come out the gates like this? In fairness to them, 3-0, but at this price again, I just can't get. I'd be more excited about Toronto basically than I would about Boston in this spot, because even though the spot's good, they haven't shown me a whole pile this season so far. I think obviously most people are expecting a big bounce back from the Bruins, as you said, after getting dropped by Philadelphia last time out. Obviously on the other side, probably expecting some sort of regression out of Buffalo, especially when you consider, preseason points expectation from Vegas. Buffalo were dead last. So, what they're doing to open up the season is impressive. And I have been impressed with them overall. Despite those low preseason expectations, they've outshot opponents 112-86 over the first 3 games of the season. And that offense, too, isn't particularly reliant on any one player, So for Boston to get priced up here in this bounce-back role as this big of a road favourite, I know it's Buffalo, but they're still a 3-0 team playing really well right now. I think the line's just a bit too high for me. The only reason I'm not taking the Sabres in this spot at this big price is, they've got an absolutely woeful head-to-head record against the Bruins in this venue. The Sabres, they've won just 5 of the last 21 here inside KeyBank. They've lost 6 of the last 7 as well, although must be said that one win was the last game that they played here in a 6-4 Sabres win back in April. So if I was looking to get involved in this one, I'd probably take a shot with the Sabres, in all honesty, on the money line. But, it'd be a weak vote at best. So, lean to Buffalo. I just can't lay this price with Boston right now.
It's hard to argue with that great plus price. I got to tell something to our audience here, because Carm is obviously a Sabres fan. We've mentioned it a few times on the show, but he's not happy about their winning record right now. Carmine, tell us why you're not happy, and are you going against them tonight, or is it time to hop on the bandwagon?
No, I'm not happy because I plan on fading the Sabres as much as I can this year. I said at the beginning of the season, I plan on fading Arizona as much as I can, and I talked about that at the beginning of the season as well too. Last night I had the Oilers both in regulation and the puck line getting plus money. I just thought that was probably the easiest game on the schedule. That's probably one that the puck line could have been a 5% play. In all honesty, it really could have. But with that said, listen, the regression will come at some point for these Sabres. I know it's going to come. I can tell you the morning skate for the Boston Bruins with Bruce Cassidy was not a good one after that 6-3 loss to Philadelphia. It is probably the one game over the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever you want to call it, watching Bruins games, where I could not believe how easy they were giving up their blue line. Philadelphia had absolutely no problem getting into the O-zone, and they made the Bruins pay repeatedly in that game. That's not the Bruins style of hockey. I think we see some pushback tonight because of that game. You got Allmark obviously making his first start of the season against his former club, the Sabres. And, listen, you can only beat who they put in front of you, Andrew. But the Sabres have 3 wins this year over Montreal, Arizona, and Vancouver, who are a combined 2-12 to start the season, those 3 teams. So it says something about the quality of opponent. I always say you need to look at at least consider the quality of teams your opponent is playing against. But again, you can only beat who's in front of you. 7-1 last year in this series for the Bruins over the Sabres, losing only that game that Kevin mentioned, 6-4. In those 7 wins, they never allowed more than 2 goals in those games. For me, it's got to be the Bruins tonight. Whether you want to risk the puck line or whether you want to take them in regulation, the Bruins, I think, are the play. I think they're going to come in a little hungrier, but the Sabres know this. They know what's coming in tonight to face them, so it'll be an entertaining game. But I think at the end of the day, the Bruins get the win here.
And Carm, I want to make it very clear. When I said that, it's not like I'm chirping you or anything like that. I'm saying it because I respect people that have no problem slandering their favorite team, betting consistently against their favorite team. So by no means was I saying, hey, you've lost betting on them. It was more so just like respect to you for going against your team.
Andrew, I never take it that way. You know me. I especially if it's you or I or Prez. If you can dish it, you got to take it if you're going to dish it out, right? So it's kind of like, if Kevin wants to come back on Puck Time at some point, he's got to answer these two questions correctly. One being, Kevin, how many letter A's in Canada?
3.
All right. One more. How many L's in
right?
Montreal?
Yes, right.
Yes. Yeah,
how many
L's in Montreal? How many L's in Montreal?
1. What? No, let's get on with hockey. Like, what are you talking about?
There's 5 L's in Montreal. All right, Andrew, where are we going next?
There's gonna be 70 L's in Buffalo this year. Just wait till they lose tonight.
All right, let's get on to the next one.
Guys, if you want to, you can grab the parlay with the Bruins and the Leafs at plus 110 I'm seeing. And if you combine the Bruins in regulation and Leafs in regulation, that turns into plus 200. So Carmine's mentioned a little bit of parlay action there. If you guys want to look at that, feel free to do so. But I think it's a great bet on spot for the Bruins. They're a great leadership core. We'll get it done. The LA Kings are at the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars are minus 150. The LA Kings plus 130 on the road. Total is at 5.5. We are done with the spelling test. We are done with the chirps about Carmine Sabres. They're going to lose tonight, that's for sure. Let's jump into this game. And we talk about being situational. We talk about road trips, talk about homestands. Carmine was mentioning on yesterday's show, the Islanders have a new arena being built, so they're on the road for what feels like forever to start the season off. Well, Dallas, they started off their season on the road, guys, and it wasn't great for them. It wasn't horrible by any means, but decent win to start the season off against the Rangers, but then they drop a game on the road to the Bruins. Then they lose to the Ottawa Senators. I just have that feeling that this team is happy to be home. And sometimes after a road trip, it's a good bet on spot. A lot of times in the NBA, people will bet on against the team their first game back home. The thing is, guys, their last game on the road was a few days ago. It's not like it was just like a day or two ago. It was a couple of days ago, and I think they're ready. They're settled in. And I have that feeling that Dallas is just excited to be home. They're going to play well tonight. They're getting an opponent in the LA Kings that I think is probably feeling pretty good about themselves. They've produced. They've created dangerous scoring opportunities in their couple games they've played. I think it's a great bet on spot here for the Dallas Stars. I'm going to mix the money line and the puck line here tonight and make a -1 line on the Dallas Stars at home. I like them tonight. Great bet on spot for them. Carmine, any arguments?
No, I don't think I can, Andrew. And this one's not going to be in my card, but I'm going to make a a quick comment on on this LA Kings team. Like I talked about, I like the LA Kings team. I think they have some speed. The problem is, other than that game against Vegas where they were able to build that speed sort of through center ice, they could not do that against Minnesota. They could not do that against Nashville. Those are teams that plug up that middle very well and slow teams down. And now they're playing Dallas, who literally kind of like the New Jersey Devils of the late 80s and 90s created that sort of neutral zone, clog up a team type of game plan. I just don't see how the Kings win here tonight. They, it's early in the season. It's only 2 games where I've seen that observation, but this Dallas team fits into the same mold as Minnesota does. If they fit into the same mold as Nashville does, as far as slowing a game down, clogging up the zone, a little physical. That makes it tough for skilled teams, and I think the Kings are a skilled team. So I think they're going to struggle tonight. So for me, I would echo your thoughts here on sort of splitting it up and taking Dallas and Dallas puck line as well too. Kev, give me your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Out of all the options, though, I do quite like the under here, actually. I thought Holtby was excellent in Tuesday's win over the Penguins. 27 saves, .964 save percentage. And he was .949 against the Bruins as well in the game before. That's obviously a far cry from where he was last season, 68 on overall GSAA average, -12.97. He obviously struggled for large parts last season, but now look, he's plus 3.13 over his 3 games, 3 quality starts to boot as well. So, hopefully for him at least he can keep that going into tonight. And if he can, we might well see that under cash. On the other side, you have Cal Peterson. He's put up back-to-back quality starts himself from his 2 games as well, 2.04 goals against average. And look, both teams not exactly setting the world alight in terms of offense. Both LA and Dallas ranked 22nd, 28th respectively on goals scored. Dallas ranks 31st on goals per game average also. And both teams are bottom 10 in overall XG this season. So, all that combined, give me a piece of the under 5.5 here between the Kings and Stars tonight.
Hard to argue the under. This Stars team is struggling to score every game they've been involved in. It's been a snail fest. Carmine, do me a favor. If you're mentioning trends or stats or anything like that, try and avoid talking about the 80s or even the early 90s for me, because I won't be able to keep up with you. And I just can't follow when you do that. So
us old guys, I still remember when sticks were just wooden with the tape around them and they're completely straight. What can I tell you? And players lost their teeth and were completely fine with it. So it's
playing on ponds.
Yes.
Playing on ponds in Wisconsin or somewhere.
Yeah, pond hockey's great. One more game to discuss, and we're going to jump into some best bets, some promotions, all that good stuff. Our last game is a very interesting game. It's, I would say, the game of the night. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Las Vegas Golden Knights, they're at home. They're minus 135 favorites. The Oilers on the road plus 115, total 6.5. And we haven't seen too many 6.5 so far this year, guys. We've seen a lot of 6s, 5.5s, not too many 6.5s, but talking about situational handicapping, a lot of interesting spots for today, because as we've talked about, the Oilers outright dominated the Arizona Coyotes last night. Wasn't even close. Looks like they actually might even go with the same goaltender as last night. The Oilers' power play looked exceptional. Connor McDavid gets 2 goals. Zach Hyman gets on the board. Their defending looked good. And we got Las Vegas, of course, with some injuries to the forward position, but they're off a solid game. They played well defensively. Robin Lehner had his best start of the season so far. So I'm curious what the guys think about this game. And Carmen, I'm going to start with you with this one, because we both had Edmonton. We both loved the way they played. How much energy did they even exert last night, man? I feel like it was almost the co-main event for tonight's game.
Yeah, you know what, Andrew, when I look at that game, watching that game last night, it just kind of felt like a scrimmage for the Oilers. How much energy did they really expend in that game? I was talking to someone in our chat who thought, the Vegas is the play tonight because the Oilers just want to get out. I'm not really sure. We're only 3 or 4 games into the season. It's not like we're 30 games into the season. This trip to Vegas is followed by 4 days off before they return home to face the Philadelphia Flyers. So they don't play again till the 27th. So a nice little break for them. And they would probably like to go home with that win streak intact to start the season. 19 goals through 4 games for this team. Again, not the greatest of teams that they've played. I think they're 5-12 combined, the teams that they've beaten up on so far. If anything, they catch a Vegas team that, as we know, is dealing with injuries. Pacioretty, Stone, Tuck out of the lineup. You never get who's going to be the starting goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights. You never get that information early. They hold on to that information as late as possible. I would have to think it's Robin Lehner tonight. So it's a short trip, obviously, from Arizona to Vegas for this one. I kind of wish, I'll be honest with you, Andrew, because this angle, and this is an angle that Dave Koken liked as well too, which was the game after you play Vegas was a good game to fade the team. It had a high winning percentage if you faded the team leaving Vegas in their next game. I don't know what it is about that. I've been to Vegas many times. I'm perfectly fine when I leave. But with that said, listen, Vegas played well with those three guys out and a couple other injuries. They played well against St. Louis. That was a tight checking game. 2 very good teams, and they only lost that game late. The Blues got 2 goals I think, in the final 10 minutes of that game. But that Vegas shot prop, if you can find it, they still peppered Binnington with 40-plus shots on goal. It's Koskinen and net tonight, I believe. And so if they pepper him with 40 to 45 shots on goal, some of them are going to get by. So you can probably get a very good price on Vegas right now to break that Oilers 4-0 win streak. It's still a very good team in Vegas. They will be fine. Let's not worry about them. They will be fine this season. They just need to get past these injuries that sometimes good teams go through. Kev, give me your thoughts on this one. Are we 5-0 with Vegas?
Hold on, Kev. I hear Carmine say he's perfectly fine when he leaves Vegas. Does that just mean he's not having enough fun? I mean, it's pretty much his second home. He's there like once a quarter. He's just not having enough fun, it sounds like, then, if you're perfectly fine when you leave.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to pick up on the fact, like, he didn't know what it was, because I mean, even if you weren't suffering from it, like, I could probably guess why teams look so bad after coming out of Vegas. Like, yeah, but I mean, like, I'm presuming it's partying, right? These players are in their 20s, 30s.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that right? So
definitely, there's no doubt they're having fun.
But that's got to be one of those trends that's obviously going to regress at some point. The manager's going to have to put the foot down, for these players. The Derek Rodman days are kind of coming to an end, I'd imagine.
First year
there's no lockdown. There's no lockdown. There's, they're playing the game, whether they're going for dinner. It's still the bright lights of Vegas. I don't know what it is. It's just the teams leaving Vegas had a low win percentage in their next in their next out game. They normally ended up in places like Colorado, which is a tough one to go to after you leave Vegas, but still it was a good bet on a stat that you could take, or trend that you could take. We say the trend is your friend, but that should just be a part of your gambling as far as that goes. But Kev, what do you think about this game tonight?
Well, I can tell you I felt rough on the plane back from Vegas personally, so I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. But look, it's hard not to be impressed how Edmonton are playing right now. 4 wins from 4. Last 3 actually all covering the puck line as well. Lead the league on goals this season. Connor McDavid, obviously up to his old tricks already, leads the league in scoring, points, goals created, power play goals. I mean, the list goes on. But, saying all that, I think the spot sets up well for Vegas tonight. 2 straight losses, obviously, for the Knights. It definitely, hasn't been pretty. 18 giveaways against the Blues as well in that last game. That's not going to get it done. But I still like them to bounce back here tonight, although, they're really going to have to clean up the amount of high-danger scoring opportunities they've given up to this point of the season. The Knights ranked bottom in the league this year on opponent high-danger scoring chances allowed, yet somehow they only rank mid-table on opponent high-danger conversion rate, meaning, while they're giving up an inordinately high number of good chances inside the slot area to opposing offenses, they really aren't getting punished all that bad, or at least, not as much as they could be. So they've been somewhat fortunate in that regard. But, still, with all that being said, Vegas usually has a habit of showing up in these types of games. 5-0 run against above 600 teams. 4-1 at home in their last 5 against the Oilers as well. So I do reckon they put this, bad run of form to bed tonight. And I do like them to get the win against the Oilers.
That is Kevin Dolan of WagerTalk.com with his breakdown of the Vegas Edmonton game. Listen, he has 2 5% plays up. We thank him for coming in. He's got a boxing play up. He's got an NFL play up where he is doing absolutely, for lack of a better word, balls to the wall. He's killing it in NFL. Soccer, of course, NHL. You can get all 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a 3-day all-access package for only $39 when you use the promo code IRISH39. IRISH39 is the promo code. You'll get every single play, including those 2 5% plays that normally go for $35 each. So head over to WagerTalk.com and his page, and you can get that. And guys, before I send it back to Andrew, I will be remiss because you guys all love the Prez, and the Prez has his first 5% play going today. And I'm going to throw out another promo code for you, Prez20. Prez20, you can get that play for only $20. That'll give you $15 off at checkout. So that is the code for Prez's first NHL 5% play of the season. And, last year he was just hitting them left, right, and center. So head over there, wagertalk.com, Prez's page, and punch in Prez20 and get that play 4 in tonight's action. Andrew.
Yeah, Carm, Prez was his dynamite with his 5% plays, guys. Prez20, make sure you use that promo code. And for Kevin, it just speaks for itself. Use the couple days. Don't just buy one pick or one day. Use all 3 days with his promo code there. We got to get into best bets. We got to wrap this show up, put a bow on it. And I'm going to start off with my best bet. I just think it's a great situational spot here for the Dallas Stars. They are back at home. They have a decent road trip. They kept teams to low amount of goals. They played decent defense, but their goal production wasn't there. I feel like they'll get that extra spark tonight in front of their home crowd. Stars in regulation plus 100 for me against the LA Kings. Great bet on spot here for the Stars at home. I'll throw it over to you, Kevin, for your best bet on the show.
Yeah, Andrew, I'm going to go back to the game we just talked about, actually, and take Vegas on the money line tonight against Edmonton. As we said, look, Edmonton obviously playing some lights out stuff so far this season, no doubt. But, I think Vegas kind of circled the wagons here tonight, put in a best effort off the back of that St. Louis Blues loss. And as we said, look, this is a spot they've traditionally done well in. 40-16 also in their last 56, entering in as a home favourite. So, I think Vegas show up tonight and get the win. Best bet.
Carm, let's see it from you.
All right, so we'll start with first, no promos. I still have one that's still active. You can get 7 days all access for only $69, less than $10 a day, using coupon code CL50. As far as my best bet, I'm going to go back to the well with the Bruins and the Bruins and Sabres game. I'm going to take the Bruins in regulation time. I just think Bruce Cassidy, I think he just beat that team into the ice the next morning after that Philadelphia game. I think they got to be a lot better defensively. They held over the Sabres last year, winning 7 of 8 games. They're going to win this one in regulation time, and you're only laying $1.30 as opposed to that overpriced number of $2.35, $2.40 that it's at right now. Let's see if I can fade the Sabres and win one, Andrew.
Yeah, I think the Sabres' undefeated streak comes to an end tonight. You can find the power plays on the screen. I have the Stars in regulation plus 100. Carmine with the Bruins in regulation time minus 130. Kevin on the Las Vegas Golden Knights minus 130. Want to thank Kevin Dolan for joining us on the show today. Of course, my co-host Carmine Bianco and all of you guys out there that either watch or listen to this show. We do appreciate you. Happy Friday, guys. Have a great weekend. Best of luck, and we'll see you on Monday.
Thousands of you enjoyed the NHL opening week $9 special, so it's only fair that we offer the NBA fans the same deal. Every NBA daily package for the opening week through Monday, October 25th is just $9. That's right, you will not be paying $25 for a package, nor will you be paying $35 for 5% best bets for the opening week of the NBA, as all daily basketball packages are only $9. Make sure to tune in every Monday through Friday for the NBA tip-off show on WagerTalk TV, and then save and start the NBA season with a slam dunk deal.